So today I am really excited and thrilled to have as my very first guest on my conversations a very, very incredible Shola. Dr. Shola Moshogbamimu, did I say it? Yes, because I know this is always a stumbling block with you, and it doesn't need to be, but it kind of is.
I know.
I mean, Honey Lennox is kind of simple, but Shogbamimu, come on.
Love is blind is what I say. Love is blind.
But shall I describe who you are? I try to describe, well, I read in your bio that you are a lawyer, which is just, an incredible thing to do as it of itself. You are a political activist. You are a women's rights activist. You are the founder, is it called WIL publication?
Women in Leadership publication.
Better, that's much better. So this is a publication. Tell us a little bit about the publication.
So the publication is really to highlight the incredible, inspiring journeys of women, and women from different backgrounds, different class, faith, race, just to show how, the commonalities between us and how we can inspire each other. And that's why I thought we're not talking enough, that as women, we talk enough amongst our own, our own groups, but to think about how you can share your story with other people is one of the reasons why I started the publication.
Oh, that just gives me thrills, because I think this is what we need more than ever. When I'm looking at what is happening at the moment, this word division, divisiveness, when it's played out actually in the world, division, it is such a painful thing. And there's no healing, because all we have is just fighting and no dialogue, no empathy or compassion or understanding or listening. And I think listening is number one. Mm-hmm. So to create a platform like that where we can be inspired and come together, for you to do that is a really significant thing. And in a way, I think this is what I really feel in my heart, this is what I want to do too. Because I have been so much in pain, I'll just be honest with you, about racism since I was a little girl. And I understood really somehow at a visceral level, living in a very white Scottish town where only people of color were maybe going to the university there. And that was the different one. And I didn't really feel I experienced racism because I didn't actually know what it was. And it wasn't until I was 17 and I heard about apartheid in South Africa. And there's a long story attached to that, which we don't have to go into now. But I realized that there's a country where people were divided by race or color. Yeah. And I thought at that point, I will never step foot in that country because it disgusted me that something like that could actually exist. And so that was in 1971, which seems like aeons ago. And it wasn't until 2004 that I actually stepped foot on South African soil. And then there was the opportunity to perform for 46664, which was Nelson Mandela's HIV and AIDS Foundation. And then my journey went on from there. So it's interesting now. I've been spending the last few days in deep reflection because I live in the United States now. And I've started to understand that even me, because I thought I knew a lot and had been through this lifetime of observing injustice in the form of racist discrimination, but even me, I have so much to learn. I still have so much to learn. And I'm so willing to learn more. But Shola, I want if you wouldn't mind, share a little bit with me about what you feel people have, I'd hate to say my skin color, it's so ridiculous. But I think people of this skin color, obviously if you're racist, you're racist. It's full stop. you have the bias, and I don't know if your mind and then your attitude can be changed. I don't know. But you know, I believe that there are so many people of this skin color that so want to yearning
Yeah.
to make the difference, to build the bridges, to have the dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share a little bit of your thinking about that?
I think when you said there's so much more for me to learn, that was a great starting point. I said that what is happening right now is going to have one or two impacts on white people, people of your color. There will be a set of white folks who will go, this is a wake up call. Oh my God, I did not know it was this bad, or I did not know this was still going on. What can I do? And then there will be another set who will be angry, who will be enraged at the audacity to, oh, how can you even say that? There's no such thing. No, 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 no. They will then try to whitewash our oppression to make it look like theirs so that they can call us anti-white. So I'm going to focus on the first part. Those who are seeing this as a wake-up call, those whose hearts are burdened by, oh my God, this is so wrong. Am I part of the problem? Have I been part of the solution? What more can I do? Have I inadvertently helped this grow without realizing? And what is it that as a white person I am not seeing? What is it that passes me by because of my privilege, because I'm oblivious, because I don't have the same experience as my Black brothers and sisters? And it starts from the point it started with, Annie, which is to say, I'm ready to learn. There's so much more to learn. Um, I think what is going on right now is simply, oh, it's a testament to the structural inequalities, the systemic racism. And I think it starts with people understanding what racism is. People think racism is just hate. Or, I'm being racist to you when I, maybe use the N word against you. Not understanding what the impact is of stereotypical language, of speaking out or speaking against Black people, not understanding that there's a negative impact on the quality of life and choice of Black people when white people weaponize their whiteness against Black people. So for instance, Annie, if you and I were to get into a tiff and God knows, maybe we don't know each other, I'm like, oh, she's a cow. And you're like, you could call me something else, and you call me a bitch, whatever it is, right? Now, me calling you a cow, that's where it ends. It doesn't go beyond that. But you calling me a Black bitch, you then using your power to maybe ensure that something as small as I can't buy something in a shop anymore, or you call the police on me, or you get me fired. You can actually do that because of your skin color. I can't do that. And
Yes,
that's where power comes
what
from.
we saw. That's what we saw in the park in Central Park, New York,
Exactly.
where a woman who, I don't know what she thought. I don't know what she was thinking, but I mean, what came out immediately was that she knew if she called the police that this man would be arrested and that she would get the upper hand. And that was the really telling point, that within this person who, to all intents and purposes, looks like a nice lady-ish, maybe, I don't know, but what came out was an assumption of her own. That was what we call white privilege. Like, I mean, it really gives cause for thought. This is the kind of inner thinking. Like, do you go around thinking that actually you could have someone arrested because of the color of their skin? And people do. And that's the kind of thing that hadn't occurred to me. It hadn't occurred to me. It hadn't occurred to me how racist this police system is. I've been here for a few months, and I've realized now, it's taken this long, to try to imagine what it's like to go out with a bodysuit that has the other color, your color of skin. I'm wearing it now. And
Mm.
then I'm going to change my gender and I'm going to be a young Black man. And I would feel the fear of being targeted for doing for doing nothing, actually, for doing nothing, for standing in the street, or the most ridiculous, tiny little, not even a violation, a broken head, as I've read, broken headlamp or tiny thing, you get ticketed. I didn't realize that it was so black and white, you know.
Exactly. But one of the reasons for that is people misunderstand what power is. So when I said racism is a power construct, it's not just hate, it's the application of that power and how that power can be applied by any white person, regardless of their socioeconomic background, regardless of their class, regardless of their wealth, how powerful that must be. Because historically, the Black color is seen as an inferior race. So racism is there to feed white supremacy. Racism was created as a power construct by white nations.
Definitely.
To deny Black people an equal value of life and liberty for the benefit of white people. And that is where the white privilege comes in. So it's like, for instance, okay, like you mentioned, I'm a lawyer. Now, there's some things I can confidently speak of. So I could, for instance, be in a discussion with another white person, and I'm speaking authoritatively on the basis of my knowledge, on my profession, not my color, because my color doesn't give me any power. But as a lawyer and educated on that point, that gives me knowledge, and we know knowledge is power. Now, imagine me talking to another white woman. Her power comes from her knowledge, maybe she's a lawyer as well, but also from the color of her skin. And that power of white privilege permeates through society. So if anybody stepped in right now to a conversation she and I were having, say there was a disagreement, it would not matter that I'm a lawyer. It would not matter that I've got 5 degrees to my name. It wouldn't matter where I've gone to university. In fact, the moment I start to speak, and I speak as passionately as I do, I will be labeled as aggressive. I'll be labeled as dominant. I'll be labeled as bully. In fact, I might even be accused of threatening her. Why? Because my Black identity, before I was born, has already been criminalized. It's been given this derived identity that has jack all to do with me. I can't help the fact that I am I don't know, I don't give a rat's ass what people think. I'm going to say what I think, end of, right? But to be stereotyped to fit somebody else's narrative, and for the basis of that to be the racism, that gives an unfair advantage to my counterpart, who is my equal. But we are not equal because society doesn't treat us equally. And we're not equal because we don't have the same advantages. Now, I remember somebody recently sending me something on Twitter going, well, you couldn't have been that oppressed if you have all these degrees and you've done all that. I didn't even bother to respond. One of the people that follows me responded saying, you have no idea what it took for her to achieve what she achieved. And that's the truth. How I had to work twice, 3 times as hard as my counterparts to be able to get what I had to realize that, stay focused. It's hard. I'm juggling all kinds of things at the same time, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Father, Lord, give me strength. Let me just keep moving. Let me just keep pushing. And for me to understand as well that I refuse to allow the color of my skin to be used against me, because now I'm going to make the color of my skin my power and my strength. Because you see, God did not bring me this far to leave me. God, I am not a mistake. Do you see what I mean? I am created for a reason. I'm created for a purpose.
I think so.
I refuse for anybody to define me. But I'll tell you this, Annie. This isn't what I was saying in my 20s. I don't think I could have formulated my thinking. Don't get me wrong, I had a big mouth in my 20s too. But it took me time in maturing, in going through different journeys, in witnessing other people's journeys, for me to get to a point in my life and I went, no more, no, I'm done. So I'm sorry. Even if it's in the workplace, what I'm going to do is this. Rather than be silenced, because that is what they're trying to do. All of these stereotypes, all of these, those who try to weaponize their white privilege in the workplace or on the streets, in schools, the effect of what they're trying to do is to silence us, silence our authenticity, silence our opinion, silence our power of expression. And the day I came to that understanding was the day I said, hell no, not on my watch. I am going to be me. And if that means you are going to call me, ooh, she's dominant, she's a bully, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use what you tried to put down on me, that I'm going to use, and I'm going to stand up, put my head straight up and speak out. So
Wow.
rather than being silenced, because that's
Yeah.
what a lot of Black people end up doing. They go, let me just put my head down. Let me not say anything. Let me just do what I need to. No, 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 no. Because that burden is just way too much. It means that I am being less than who I'm called to be. It means I can't speak the way that God created me to speak. Why? Why shouldn't I be able to? Why shouldn't I be able to stand up and say, I don't agree? For goodness sake. And I think one of the things earlier today I was asked, what got you started in your, being more visible, actively? And what got you started? And I said, I got pissed off. I got angry. That, I mean,
Really
everybody has
anger.
things that triggers them into action, because that's what activism is, right? Action. Me, it is when I get seriously ticked off. I go, really? I say, okay. Then I show the Nigerian side of me. I'm like, where's my wrapper? Bring my wrapper. Let me tie it around my waist. Come on, let us start this. But it comes with an understanding of how the system works. That's what I'm saying. It's not just Amy Cooper. It is not just police brutality. It's not just the government who allows, as far as I'm concerned, there's some policies and legislation out there that are not in our best interest. It is what supports all of this divisive rhetoric, negative impact of policies, of authorities on our lives. And that what supports it is that structural racism, which is there to feed white supremacy.
Yes, yes. So I can see that you are fueled by anger. And I understand that anger. No, and you don't need to do that, because actually it's a very valid place to come from. Mm-hmm. It's a righteous and indignant anger against injustices that are played out, as you said, not just in the big way, but actually it's all the way through the system. And I'm thinking to myself, well, it's tricksy. It's very delicate, because I believe that we need to have the dialogue. And I believe that when I say we, I mean people of like minds, shared values, no matter what our color of skin. So we can come together. But I think that, and this is not a criticism, it's an observation, that anger is a very, very strong and helpful thing, because we must be fueled by outrage. But I think that culturally speaking, many white-skinned people are afraid of the anger. When the anger is expressed, they don't know what to do with it, and they feel they want to get involved, they want to, and they want to learn about it, but then they feel like running away from it, because the anger is, I'm just putting this out there, that the anger is almost like too much, and they feel bad, they feel guilty. They feel guilty for something they didn't even know they did. They didn't know.
Right,
they didn't know. And this is the point. They don't know. They don't know the full extent of it, because they haven't lived the experience. They just don't know. I feel like I know. I feel I've always known. Because why? Because I'm a very sensitive kind of empath that sees injustice all the time. Wherever it is, I'll find it, because somehow or another, I'm wired that way. And it just has given me pain. And I have tried to, well, throughout my life, I've tried to make a contribution. I don't know if it's been good enough. I don't know. In fact, I can tell you right now, it's not been good enough. It's not been effective enough. That's the way I feel about it. And it really frustrates me. And as you know, I'm talking also from a feminist perspective that we both share. And I describe myself as intersectional, yes. I also put this term global feminist because I feel, well, for what it's worth, that feminism must be global and it must be for all. And we both agree on that. And it doesn't matter whatever label we put upon it, you know.
Yeah.
But basically what I want to put to you is, where are the solutions? How can we come together where white-skinned people actually feel safe enough to say, okay, I recognize now, number one, what white privilege actually is. Coming from a working class background, as I've done, I said I had no privilege. Where was my privilege? I didn't have any privilege. What is this term? At first, I said, I don't want to be called a white privilege. What? That's crazy. That's the racist. That's my skin color. Why? You know, I don't believe in that. And then I understood it. It took some time. It's crazy, but it's like not seeing the wood for the trees.
Yes, yes.
And I feel apologetic for it, that I didn't see the wood for the trees. But hey, I'm trying. It's the best. I'm doing the best I can do. So Shola, share with me how we can, and I don't like to be defined in skin terms. It really.
I know. Yeah. If my mother, if my mother was listening to me, she, even from a young age, she used to get annoyed at us ever referring to people as white or black. She'll go, with all the money I've spent on your education, this is a very Nigerian mom, is that how you should be referring to people? Do you look black? You're more brown than black. So why are you calling people white? Call them by, I don't know, European, American. So I get that. But this is what I'll say. I think my white siblings should get ready to be uncomfortable. And rather than be afraid of, oh, I can't deal with this anger, right? Just bear for 1 second that for the longest time, for generations, anger is all we had. And our anger had no power. But every single stroke, every single word uttered by those white people who were racist had far more impact on us than anger. So anger was just all the emotion that we had to be able to express ourselves one way or the other. Now, and I'll say this, have dialogues, even when you don't feel, oh, do I feel comfortable enough? This is not the time. This is not the time to get yourself all comfortable. You might need another 100 years, and by then you're not, okay? But the only way you're going to feel the conversation is safe is by having a conversation with somebody you trust. So having a conversation with a black or brown friend, colleague that you know you can trust with your, ooh, I've got so many cobwebs in my head right now about white privilege. This is what I think it is, but I don't understand. Somebody you know you can have a conversation with, they're not going to pass judgment on you. As far as they're concerned, you don't understand, let me help you understand. This is what we mean by it. This is why the term, this is the basis of the term. And this is what it looks like in practice. So one, get ready to be uncomfortable. The whole fragility, white fragility around guilt, you know what? I think that is probably the humane side of you, because you recognize what your ancestors did. It doesn't mean that you are guilty of what they did. It means that you recognize that you are still benefiting from what they did. So yes, what can you do today to equal all of the benefits? How can you use this powerful white privilege for the benefit of Black people rather than against them? Whether it's intentional or unintentional, whether it's you're being oblivious or, oh, you're just being silent, and so you're being complicit through silence. So I think it's that. And I always say this, that issues of diversity, issues of, wanting to help in racism, it means you have to be conscious every single day. Yes. So, all that mindfulness stuff, right? Being present in the moment, it means you need to find a way to address how did I let this pass me by? Imagine if you were the person on the street, walking by Amy Cooper, as she said, "Oh, I'm going to call the police, that African American man." In that moment, if you're honest with yourself, Annie, what would be your first thought? Would you immediately think, "Oh, why is she taking advantage of this man?" Would you think this man must be doing something to this white woman?
Mm.
Just
I don't know.
no, you
It's
don't know.
very
But I'm saying
interesting.
this is what people
Yes.
think about. This is what, try and put yourself in that position. If I was there in that moment, what would I think? And then when you realize, oh, actually, I think my first thought would be this, then you go, why would I think that? And
Mm.
that you need to start,
Right.
it's a way of deconstructing what your thinking is, and then you go, but how did I ever come up with that thinking, that mindset? What was I exposed to? What have I been exposed to growing up?
This is quite a sophisticated, this would take a person with quite a sophisticated mind, with the will for self-inquiries.
Yeah.
This is the problem in a way. So, you know, I'll just say, when I first saw the demonstrations that took place in every single major city across the United States, I felt like, my God, look at this young generation who've picked up the gauntlet, not the gauntlet, but they picked up whatever you're picking up, the flame, the torch.
Yes.
And they're carrying it now, they're getting it. And look at how diverse. I mean, it was a mix. You can't say, it was, I don't know what the kind of proportions were, but there were just as many white kids or brown kids or black. It was mixed. And this is what gave me a feeling of like, oh wow, there's a shape shift taking place.
Yeah.
At the same time, what you've described to me is like, what would you do if you saw that? Yeah. To me, that would take, like I say, quite a sophisticated person who has the will for self-inquiry. If you don't have, you see, this binary thing of black, white, the simplistic thing, if you don't have the will for self-inquiry, if you just think it's just like, this is the way it is, and you actually, as a part of you, actually thinks when they see people of color that they are in some way inferior to you, which is often the case. It must be true. I'm not in everybody's head, but that must be the case. So you're not even thinking that way. You're just going. So what this has done, basically, I'm saying, there's, I think that what has been going on over the last so many decades, but let's just say I'm 65, since my lifetime, at least since I've been aware on the planet, the racism and the neglect of civil rights and really addressing the issues has caused this terrible, cancerous festering all the way through society. And it's just been ignored. And now, right now, it's like this horrible poisonous boil. This is how I see it. It's a metaphor that has come to the point, and it's now, it's bursting. It's burst.
Exactly.
Which is a good thing. It's a good thing. It needed to happen. Why didn't it happen before? I don't understand why. Why didn't it happen before?
I can tell you why.
Please do, please.
I can tell you why. It's the same reason why you and I will be having this same conversation in 10 years' time.
God.
Because, and I'll tell you why, and this is to refer to what you said earlier when you said it would take a sophisticated mind to be able to deconstruct. And I don't think it takes a sophisticated mind. It takes the mind of somebody who is exactly where you are, saying, what can I do to help? When you are ready for a change within you, it means you're going, that's why I said dealing with racism, and I think for white folks, dealing with racism means that they need to be consciously, effortlessly conscious every single moment about it. It means being present every single time. And that means you're switching on something you never switched on before.
But then you would never, that's the funny thing, is like people say, but I'm not racist, I would never think, but you know, it's like you have to dig deeper. It
starts with an open mind. So I had somebody reach out to me on a Facebook post that put on. And this was a gentleman in his 60s, because you see, everything we're talking about isn't just happening in the States, it's happening right here. And he reached out to me, and what he said to me in few short sentences was, "You're effing racist. How dare you say that about white people? How dare you blah, blah, blah." So I responded back to him and I said, I gave him all kinds of reasons. What I'm going to say is, between his first post of calling me an effing racist to the private message he then sent me, so the post was for the public to see. Then he sent me a private message saying, "I am sorry. I didn't understand what you were trying to say. I'm 61 years old. I don't like racism. And, I have Black friends, I have brown friends, but I didn't understand this thing was there." But first of all, he was angry. And I said something, and then one of my white allies, she responded to the post saying, "You are wrong. This is what racism is. And this is why racism looks this way." And I think having a white ally, somebody with his own skin color, say, "Take a step back. That's not what Shola is talking about. This is what she's talking about," made him say, "Well, hold up a second. Am I missing something here?" So how many white allies speak up in the face of, "Oh, I might get attacked too"? So Shola is getting attacked. Annie, you would probably get attacked, because I see many white allies get attacked the same way they used to get attacked back in the day when they would be called nigger lovers. Today they're being called traitors, and it's all the same thing. But you have to be ready to, like I said, to use your white privilege in a way that would also educate and also stop racism perpetuated by other white people. You see, when we start with ourselves and our mindset, it means that when you and I, because you see, it's people like you and I that become politicians, that end up running big companies, that become like Amy Cooper, who was the head of investment solutions at a top financial institution, right? Wow. If your mindset is wrong, when you get into whatever position of power, you are taking that wrong mindset with you. It is not when you become a CEO that you start thinking, "Well, now let me understand what diversity is." No. If you didn't understand diversity before you got that top position, you're going to be taking your ignorance straight in there, and you're not going to help. So I don't think you need a sophisticated mind. I think it takes a mind that is ready to be open and humble and ready to be uncomfortable. That's why I say, look, my white brothers and sisters, get ready to be uncomfortable, because there will be a part of you that will go, "Oh my God, Shola, how did I never see that? How did I not know?" But you see, Shola will say to you is, "How would I expect you to know when you've never walked in my shoes?"
That's right.
But there are times that there are things that are happening to me, you're right there, right next to me, you don't see it. And the only way you can see it is if you say, "Shola, what was that just happened?" Well, or you see that I reacted somehow. Because look, we all come in different, we all come with different temperaments, right? There are Black people who are not loud or shouty like me. My kids will tell you how shouty I am. There are the Black folks who are much more measured. Does not mean that they're not angry. They're just as angry, but we all have different ways of expressing ourselves. But the thing I have to say to you, Annie, one of the things that I think is another strategy to silence us is how our tone, our expression is policed. So immediately they'll go, "Well, yes, that was not a very good thing that happened to you. That was most unfortunate. But the way you responded to it," I'm like, "You don't get to police how I respond to something that happened to me." That's another way. That is another form of white privilege being weaponized against us. That's like saying, "Oh yeah, I know you're saying that was discrimination, but well, Shola, well, maybe if you compose yourself this way." No, Shola will compose herself the way she deems fit. Don't discredit the harm and the abuse that I have, experienced by claiming something else. It's the same that's happening right now when some people in society want to discredit the Black Lives Movement and the George Floyd protest by the deaths of the civilians and the police and the looting. I'm like, there's no justification for the deaths. That's wrong. Violence, I don't condone violence, but there's also no justification to discredit the absolute necessary legitimacy of the George Floyd protest and Black Lives Matter by focusing only on the looting. Life matters more than property.
Yes, we're on the same page. You said something earlier that I would just want to round off with, and that is in 10 years' time, we'll be, did you say that right? In 10 years' time, we'll be in the same place. That is really disturbing. I mean, you know, because here's the deal. When you join in with some kind of movement and you're looking for transformative change, you're obviously hoping that whatever you do will affect change. And there have been certain things have happened, you know. I mean, this policeman who killed George Floyd has now been charged with a second-degree murder charge. So, you know, they're obviously listening, they're obviously reacting. And that's great. And the other guys have been brought in and they're going to be, you know, there's going to be a trial, proper trial. And we know that if that had not been caught on camera, it's kind of unlikely. And this is the shocking thing for a lot of people of this color and everyone. It's shocking. It's shocking no matter what. If it hadn't been caught on camera, it probably would have gotten away with it.
I don't know any Black person that would have said they were shocked. I don't think Black people were shocked at all. But you see what I mean? Well, because you see,
that's it.
That's it. But you see, the thing is this: increasing or changing the charge from third-degree murder to second-degree murder does not change anything. We've been here before. We were here with Rodney King. We were here with Amadou Diallo, who was shot 41 times. Annie, 41 times. And every single one of those police officers were let go. So you see, nobody's moved by the charges. No one is moved by, okay, yeah, they're going to have a trial prosecution. We want to see the conviction because these police officers are hardly convicted. And when I said earlier about 10 years time, we'll still be having this because think about it. This conversation was going on in my parents' time, in your parents' time, in your grandparents' time, in my grandparents' time. It doesn't mean that there's not been change. There has been incremental change, but not change enough. So when I remember my ancestors singing, "We shall overcome,"
like me, like your ancestors.
Yes. And they say, someday, right?
Someday.
And the question
today.
When is someday? When is someday? So it breaks my heart that my kids, 14, 11, and 8, may still have to deal with this, but something is changing because maybe unlike my parents, or my parents' parents, should I say, maybe like my grandparents, I would have said, you know what, don't worry about it, okay? Don't worry, you just put your head down and do the work you have to do. I'm telling my girls, you better put that head up. Do you hear me? Totally. I tell my girls, when I gave birth to you, I did not give birth to you to be subservient to anybody. If anyone is struggling, you come and tell mommy and we'll sort them out. So, you know, there's a difference with the next generation, which gives me a lot of hope. Seeing youths of different ways and, you know, different backgrounds, different faiths. Brilliant, because you know what is finally, I think, clicking for some of them.
Definitely.
It's the same thing that clicks for you and I when we lend our, you know, you lend your voices and you stand in solidarity with the Muslim community. I'm not Muslim, you're not Muslim. We stand in solidarity with the LGBT, community. Not because we're LGBT, but you know what we recognize? We recognize pain. We recognize struggle. We recognize what it feels like to be rejected. And that for me is enough. I don't need to be gay to know what it looks like to be excluded as a gay person. So I would say to my white siblings, I get that you don't have my same skin color. And I get that you have not experienced what I've experienced. But if you understand what pain looks like, if you understand what struggle looks like, what rejection looks like, what dehumanization looks like, what humiliation looks like, then you should be able to stand in the gap for me. That is all I think we are saying. And the moment you start to change your thinking, when I say you, I mean when our white siblings start to change thinking and make a conscious effort to do so, even the way they will vote would differ. You would not find someone like Trump as president or Boris Johnson, who called black people pickaninnies with watermelon smiles, as prime minister. We will take, there'll be a whole lot more conscious effort that, okay, let's look at the whole picture here. So I'm not just going to vote for you for Brexit. What else do you represent? Who are you going to, who will be oppressed by the flaws you have?
Yes. And well, maybe we'll have to round it off now. We could talk and talk for, I could talk with you or listen to you as well for a long, 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 long time. But unfortunately, I guess we have to round it off. But I think maybe my question at the very, very end would be, are white people like myself, to ask this, are we welcome?
Oh my God, I'm putting my arms around you right now. Heck yes, you're welcome. Are you kidding me? And I'm not welcoming you because you're Annie Lennox. I'm welcoming you because you are my sister. You are my sister. You are my mother. You are my aunt. We can be together. I think sometimes people think that when we speak so passionately about our hurt, our anger, about the struggle and the dehumanization, it means, oh, I'm angry with all of you. No, but you have to give me space to express my anger, because that is what I have. You have to give me space to be able to articulate the struggle, because how else are you going to understand? You should not require me to carry you. I'm carrying enough. I shouldn't have to tone my voice to make you comfortable. I don't have time for that. I am not uncomfortable. So why in God's name should you be uncomfortable when I'm speaking the truth? So let me speak. Let me be. And
I will. I'm doing it.
Amen, amen, amen. Don't worry about being, just get ready. To my white siblings, I say, get ready to be uncomfortable. That's okay. Get ready to.
I'm uncomfortable. I'm really uncomfortable. I've been uncomfortable about this for so many years. And just to say that, even if change is only incremental, no, it's not good enough. I mean, incremental change is not good enough. It's not good enough for me, in my view.
Not good enough for me too.
Good enough. It has to be really, truly transformative in every aspect.
Yeah.
And we collectively need leadership that will do it. Yeah. We could talk and talk, and what we need to do is transform talking into action. Positive.
Mobilize. Get active. Let's do it. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Thank you, Shola. Thank you so much. It's just been such a privilege and pleasure to talk with you. And I hope very, very much that our paths will merge in unity again.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Thank you.